Hi, I am super excited to be talking today with David and Blair about buy now, pay later. So let me jump right into it. First question, this is for David. I want to start with you. How has the pandemic shifted consumer behaviors within the payment space and beauty?
So basically, what we've seen is obviously a digital acceleration across the globe, right? And then with that comes a lot of things. One interesting fact is that we've seen the introduction of a lot of new target audiences and segments to the to e-commerce. Basically, my mom is now buying groceries online. That would have never happened before. So that puts a lot of pressure on the UX and on the experience that a lot of retailers and brands create online. The second part, which affects me more, is that what happens with digitalization is obviously consumer power, or usually consumer power. And that has led to a huge shift, especially in the US, from credit to alternative payment methods that are much more consumer friendly, much more digitalized, much more in tune with what Gen Z and millennials want, basically. So we've seen a huge shift towards what we offer. That is behind the rise of buy now, pay later, behind the rise of Klarna, something that is much more consumer friendly than the other alternatives, right? When it comes to the actual shopping experience or shopping beyond the payments, what we're seeing is a huge uprising in the experience part of online shopping. E-commerce and digital used to be a complement and an add-on to what you did in physical stores previously. What we've seen now is that digital is not a complement, not an add-on. It's become everything. So also the expectations that consumers have on their online experience have accelerated at the same pace as e-commerce. So interesting times. When it comes to beauty specifically, we obviously see a lot of trends, but I also think that Blair is a much better better suited person to answer those questions.
Yeah, Blair, how would you respond to that question regarding consumer behaviors and payment within beauty?
Well, I'll focus a little bit just on the trends we're seeing in beauty, and I think I can describe it really in just two phases. Last phase in 2020, in the beginning of the pandemic, we saw a huge demand, significant increase on skincare and also anything health and wellness related. I'm sure this is not news to anybody. And so we saw massive interest in our skincare products, especially those like a vitamin C serum where there was some type of wellness ingredient associated with the product. 2021 has been all about makeup. So it kind of went from skincare last year to makeup this year as people started to feel like it was time to get back out in the world and express themselves a bit. So we've seen huge demand for our makeup products, and I would love to say we anticipated that trend. We came out this year with 4 really important new makeup products, which we've seen massive demand on and sell out really quickly. I think the other thing that we're seeing with consumers is that their behavior is a bit unpredictable at the moment. We're having there is price increases and pricing pressure due to all of the supply chain challenges that we're seeing globally across all industries. And I think consumers are responding to that, which I think is another big reason why buy now, pay later is starting to play a much bigger role in the way that consumers are shopping. So what we're seeing at Beauty Counter is that our new customers, in particular, those who we've just recruited into the brand, are using Klarna almost 50% more than our existing clients. And they also have a higher average order value, about 30% higher. So I think that giving our customers options in terms of how they finance their purchases is very appealing to our newer customers and is also inspiring them to buy more.
That is really interesting, especially concerning your newer customers. I want to stay with you for 1 second. So this is something we've been paying attention very much close to at the IAB is live stream shopping. So my question for you is, why did you guys decide to get into live stream shopping? And can you tell us a little bit about what's working, what doesn't?
Sure. Yes. So yeah, our move into live stream shopping was actually inspired by the pandemic, because we were on the road to opening a new flagship store in Los Angeles on Abbot Kinney. And we were in the process of building that store, and the pandemic happened, and we realized that we could actually, rather than leaning into traditional retail, which at that moment was really not in the best place, we thought we could use the platform of the store and the environment of the store to reach customers in an entirely different way through live streaming. We have always focused on innovative distribution channels at Beauty Counter. So we launched the business obviously through our network of independent sellers, but we've also had a very healthy e-commerce direct-to-consumer business along with some wholesale partnerships. This was just another way for us to tell our story of clean beauty and mission-driven beauty person to person. Yeah. through the camera in our Abbot Kinney store. And so that storytelling has worked really well as adding influencers into the mix, because we know that consumers like to get beauty products referrals from influencers and from people that they respect in the industry. And so that has proven to be incredibly valuable as well.
Interesting. David, what's the perception from the Klarna folks?
I mean, I agree to a lot of things that Blair is saying. But what we're seeing when we're talking to our customers and serving the consumers is that e-commerce traditionally has been very transactional, right? It's been very one-on-one. Some actually describe the experience as fairly boring. You get to a site, you want to buy a pair of sneakers or whatever, and the only interaction you get is 5 images of that sneaker, and then they ask you to swipe your card, basically, right? So there's no interaction, there's no experience, there's nothing emotional connected to it. So I personally believe that the next step for e-commerce in general is to add that experiential aspect and that dimension to online shopping. I think the experience right now is quite poor. And if e-commerce wants to take that huge leap and become 50% of all shopping, I think e-commerce has to add that. So that's what we're trying to do, right? And something that Beauty Counter has understood for a long time, I think, is that it's going to sound cheesy saying this, but we're obviously in a creator economy right now, where content is king, where it's not only up to the brands to communicate, to create content, to sell, but it's very much up to individuals. And the trust in individuals is way higher than the trust in brands right now, which is sad to some extent, but understandable, right? So utilizing the power of individuals, giving them the mandate and empowering them to actually be the spokesperson of products is huge. So one thing is live shopping, but I think we should expand the perspective towards, shoppable content, basically, which is going to become huge. And again, that is what's going to add what we're seeing. And then finally, I think, again, if e-commerce is to replace, to some extent at least, brick and mortar, I think we need to mimic a lot of the things that actually make brick and mortar interesting. So, the relationship with the store associate, the ability to ask live questions, the ability to get peer feedback, the ability to get validation from friends and family, all of those aspects, the social aspects of shopping, that is something that live and creator-led shopping can add as well. So we're seeing that it seems to be very appreciated amongst consumers, not to the extent as we're seeing in China, but it's growing at a rapid pace in the West as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I'm seeing so much of what you're saying. I agree 100%. So I want to bring it back to Blair as we're coming close to the end. Blair, this is a very general question, but I think your POV is going to be pretty spot on in this. What do you think the future holds for retail and e-commerce?
Well, what we're realizing now is, as we see people going back into stores and we see that customers were missing that interaction, I think that the brands who are most successful are going to be the brands who are reaching the customer everywhere. So she wants to be able to shop online. She wants to be able to engage with influencers. She wants to be able to search for your brand and find really compelling content. She wants to be able to interact with the product in a store. She wants to be able to try it through sampling. I think we really have, she wants to shop at a monobrand store. She wants to shop at a multi-brand store. I mean, I think what we're seeing is that there's no longer a single channel model that is going to be the silver bullet. We definitely, as David mentioned, are going to continue to see massive engagement online through e-commerce, especially as we bump along in this new COVID world. But for sure, the customer wants to shop everywhere and wants to engage with brands in multiple different ways and different channels.
Got it. What do you, how about you, David? What do you think?
No, I think that was pretty much a perfect answer. I also truly believe in anywhere commerce. I do not think that we will be able to channel consumers into specific stores or specific sites to shop things. So I think we're moving into a space where literally any piece of content will be shoppable going forward. Anything you see on TV, every single Instagram ad, every single piece of content on YouTube, any banner, whatever you see, any article you read is going to be shoppable. So that highly distributed network of shopping is one thing. The second part I want to add is the personalization. Again, it sounds a bit cheesy and bland when I say personalization, but I still think the underutilization, of data that benefits consumers in their experience is something that we're going to see a shift in. Right now, I still visit e-commerce sites where they ask me if I'm a man, that I have a size 9 in shoes, like all of that should become personalized going forward. So I think we're going to see a much bigger and more intense utilization of data and personalization that actually creates a better consumer experience, not creates better banners or better ads targeting, but actually improves the experience. So that is what I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Well said, both of you guys. Thank you, folks, for joining us today.